Locho sampo pa gyu trashi pa tuche tempe trinle yar ngoda pelge drolor zampe tse parche pande lame shabla solvade Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Utta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Utta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Oma Guru Vajradhara Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Saneka Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Saneka Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Pakyuke kudan dagi alu Pakyuke sundan dagi nga Pakyuke tugdan dagi yi Tön yerme çıktı çingi alu Makyuke kudan dagi lu Sundan dagi nga Ma köke tugdan dagi yi Tön yerme çıktı çingi alu Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Muni Swaha Om Muni Shakyamuni Swaha Tayata Gate paragate, parasamgate, bodhi svoha, tayata gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi svoha, tayata gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi svoha, tayata gate, 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 parasamgate, bodhi svoha, tayata gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi svoha, tayata gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi svoha. Sangye chedan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchra sangye drupar sho sangye chedan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibes pinchra sangye drupar sho sangye chedan tsoge chonamla chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibes sonam ki drola pinchra sangye drupar sho. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nella Sangha.
The Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I obtain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Ci sediamo in una posizione confortevole.
We sit in a comfortable position,
con la schiena
with
dritta,
our back straight but not tense.
le
Our shoulders are relaxed.
La testa lei.
Our head slightly forward.
Con la bocca rilassata.
With our mouth that is relaxed and our tongue resting on our palate.
Gli occhi leggermente.
Eyes are slightly closed, looking downwards.
La consapevolezza sul respiro.
Our awareness is on our breath.
Ci permettiamo di essere
We
presenti.
allow ourselves to be present in the present moment,
Semplicemente
and simply we observe our own breath.
osserviamo il
We observe the movement of our body, the sensation at our nostrils of the air coming in and going out.
con gentilezza.
With gentleness, we bring our breath to an abdominal breath.
Inspiriamo.
We breathe in deeply until swelling the belly slightly,
Espiriamo
and we
profondamente.
breathe out deeply until contracting our abdomen slightly.
Inspira.
Breathe in and breathe out.
Portiamo il nostro respiro a un respiro
We- We make our
inspirare.
breathing a yogic breathing. And as we breathe in, other than feeling the lower part of our abdomen, we keep on breathing in a continuous flow until feeling also the upper part of our chest. And then we breathe out, emptying first the upper part, and then lastly the lower part, contracting our abdomen slightly. So I breathe in from the bottom to top, and
Espira.
breathe out, emptying from top to bottom.
Inspiro
Breathe in
profondamente tutta
deeply,
l'aria possibile.
all the possible air, and breathe out deeply,
Tutta l'aria possibile.
all the possible air.
Respiriamo con calma.
We breathe with calmness, and we create some space after the in-breath and after the out-breath, almost as a waiting without forcing. So we breathe in, hold, breathe out and hold.
Respiriamo in 4 fasi.
And so we breathe in 4 phases.
Inspiro profondamente.
I breathe in deeply,
Trattengo quello che è
hold as long as it's
confortevole.
comfortable,
Espiro
breathe out
profondamente.
deeply,
E trattengo
and
ancora.
hold again for what is comfortable.
Inspiro.
Breathe in.
Ad inspirare.
As we breathe in, we count to 4,
Tratteniamo con 4.
hold with 4,
Espiriamo con 4.
breathe out with 4,
Tratteniamo con
and hold with 3.
Tratteniamo con
Sorry, hold with 2.
Inspiro 4.
So breathe in 4, hold 4,
Espiro 4.
breathe out 4 and hold 2. Breathe
Inspiro
in
4.
4.
Trattengo 4.
Hold 4.
Espiro
Breathe
4.
out 4.
Trattengo 2.
Hold 2.
Inspiro
Breathe
4.
in 4. Breathe in 4.
Trattengo 6.
Hold with 6. Breathe out with 6 and hold 3.
Inspiro 4.
Breathe in 4.
Trattengo 6.
Hold 6. Breathe out 6.
Trattengo
Hold
2. Trattengo
3.
3. Inspiro 4.
Breathe in 4.
Inspiro 4.
Breathe in 4.
Trattengo
Hold
8.
8. Breathe out 8 and hold 4. If that was too long for someone, then each one follows the time that is comfortable for himself. So ideally, breathe in 4, hold 8, breathe out 8 and hold 4. Breathe in.
Visualizziamo il nostro corpo,
We visualize our body as a body of light
trasparente,
that is
leggero.
transparent, light and luminous.
Al centro del nostro corpo
In
abbiamo
the center of our body we have a central channel,
affiancato da due canali laterali.
and running next to it there are two side channels.
All'interno dei nostri canali
Inside of our channels there are the leftovers of our energetic blockages, like some dirt. And by performing the 9-cycle breathing, breathing from one nostril and breathing out from the other nostril, we imagine that light comes in, which eliminates all these energetic blockages. And so I breathe in, hold, and breathe out and hold.
eseguiamo il pugno Vajra e facciamo la
Take the Vajra fist, and we now do the 9-cycle breathing to clean our channels, each one at his own pace.
Inspiro.
Breathe in
Espiro.
and breathe out.
Nello spazio intorno a noi
In the space around us appear the other beings.
porgiamo la nostra attenzione
We place
particolarmente
our attention particularly on some of them
che sono circondati da
that are surrounded by innumerable beings.
osserviamoli
We
agli occhi,
observe their eyes, we look at them in the eyes,
e vediamo che ognuno
we see how each one of them wants to be happy and doesn't want to suffer, just as we do.
di loro è
Each
guidato
one is guided by his or her own ignorance and trying to be happy, just as we do.
osserviamo noi stessi
We observe ourselves
e riconosciamo quella profonda
and we
forza
recognize
di attrazione alla
that
felicità,
profound, deep force of attraction to happiness and aversion to suffering.
permettiamo questo brama,
We allow to this want, to this force to expand until including the other beings
come una sfera di luce
as a
che
sphere of light that expands from our heart,
ogni essere gli porta il messaggio
going to every being and bringing them the message that your happiness is as important for me as mine and your suffering is as important for me as mine.
desidero profondamente
I deeply wish you to be happy and not suffer.
inspiriamo raggi di luce e
We
nettare,
breathe in rays of light and nectar that fill our body.
tratteniamo l'aria, i
We
raggi di
hold
luce e
the
nettare
air and the rays of light and nectar are absorbed at our heart,
portandoci in uno stato
bringing us to a state of peace.
espiriamo,
And we breathe out
i raggi di luce si
and the rays of light emanate from our heart towards
portandoli
every
gradualmente
being,
allo stato di pace.
bringing them gradually to a state of peace. So I breathe in with the inner sound of Om,
Trattengo,
hold, and the light is absorbed with the inner sound of Ha,
espiro,
and breathe out,
portando gli esseri,
emanating and helping beings with the inner sound of Hum.
i raggi di luce
The rays of
ritornano,
light
si
come
riassorbono
back and are reabsorbed in us as we breathe in again with the sound of Om. So I breathe in Om,
trattengo A,
hold with A,
espiro
and breathe out Hum.
inspiro Om.
Breathe in Om.
Immaginiamo gli esseri intorno a noi in uno stato di pace.
Imagine the beings around us that are in a state of peace. We breathe in, the rays of light come back, and we bring our attention inside our central channel after the in-breath and the holding, and we remain in a very subtle state inside of ourselves with an infinite inner space, as if we let ourselves go inside of this infinite space filled with love. And breathe in, hold, breathe out, and hold.
Manteniamo il contatto con questa sensazione di infinito
We
spazio.
keep the contact with this sensation of infinite inner space, the awareness on our breath, and bit by bit, slowly, we bring back the attention to the outside, moving our mouth and hands, opening our eyes.
Namo Lai Ke Dan Lu Dan Nue Chin Ke Rupu Da Da Mi Ke Nam Dan Rupa Kun Ke Dranam Chi Tsam Pa Tam Che Ke Tu Da Ki Che Ten. So. Mi ricordo una volta,
I remember once, actually more than once, that I was studying. There was a person in my class.
lui per dirla tutta non c'aveva tanta voglia di studiare.
To speak the truth, actually he didn't feel like studying so much. He was just there. But like it just happened to him to study Buddhist philosophy, but it's not that really he was so interested into that. He was recognized as a reincarnation of a lama, as it was little, and then he ended up in a monastery. And then I met him again a few years ago, and he was a football player. Like he just wanted to do something else. He was not like very strong in that. But anyway, yeah, that can also be. And when there were the debate sessions, because in the way that were studying, we had lessons with masters, and during the teachings, actually, it's not that the masters, the teachers were the same for everyone. Everyone chose his master or masters because the relationship with the spiritual guide, the relationship with the master, needs to be a profound relationship of trust, so there cannot be one for everyone. In my class we were 70, more or less, like 17, and there were at least 5 main masters. So someone that will go to one, then usually won't go to another, and there were various masters. So you will go to a lesson where the explanations were given from the point of view from philosophy and so on. Then some questions were asked, and then we had to debate on that when we met each other. And it was more or less 2 hours, two times a day.
Una volta al giorno, 3 volte alla settimana. Comunque, erano diverse ore al giorno.
So it was many hours a day of debate, and every time that we met each other, it was more or less 3 hours long. And during these moments that for me were beautiful, there was a moment where we had to ask a question. So if I ask you, is it white, and you say no, then I should try to prove you that yes. And if you say yes, then I should try to prove you that no. And when someone from the West came and saw the debate, we would ask, who won the debate? Actually, that's not the goal, like for someone to win or lose the debate. The goal is to take a subject and to turn it around and around to understand it more deeply. And this boy, he came to the sessions of the debate, and he was sitting there without talking, without doing the debate. And someone asked him, but come, like, don't you feel like it? No, I don't have any doubts, he said. I don't have questions. And on one hand, it was like a sort of joke. It was a bit joking like that. I don't have doubts. Actually, what he meant is that I don't have interest. But the questions are among the most important things that we have. We studied this text, and the first line said, put aside any doubt, and that is meant as uncertainty, insecurity. Another thing is the fact that we should ask ourselves some questions. Very often I see that the problem is not that the answer is wrong, but that the question is wrong. It's like when someone asks me, but according to Buddhism, how did everything start? I cannot answer you, because the question is wrong. You should ask another question, like before that. According to Buddhism, was there a beginning? No. So you cannot ask how did it start if there was no beginning. But this is not the subject of now. But very often we remain fixed on a question, and we go around that, and we cannot find an answer, and we remain badly for that, when the key point is to look for a different question, because the question itself is not right. Because very often questions bring with them already a presumption, supposition. So when I ask you, was there a beginning, then I already have the supposition that there is a beginning. And so a question that we often ask ourselves, that according to me doesn't really work, is why? Why is it this like that? Why does it happen that? Why does it happen that other thing? And like I already said, there are occasions when someone comes to me and asks me, Lama, but why is it like that? The honest answer is, what do I know? I really have no clue about it. Like, if I have to be completely sincere, then if you want me to give you an answer to make you happy, then I can also look for a why that could be coherent and makes you feel well, and we can find it. Having studied dialectics, actually we can find like a way to justify anything. There is a Tibetan way of saying that says, sometimes Lama Ganchen used it. It's not very much on the positive side, but more like a criticism, which says, when the scholar says something, whatever can make it seem true, make him pass it as true. So it's not as much a matter of coherence or not, but with dialectics you can turn words up and down, upside down, and put it in a convincing way. But and sometimes Maganshan also said, and I have this aspect of dialectic, I've always liked it, and so on. So if there is the need to come up with an explanation, then yeah, we can do it. But if I really have to be sincere, why? I don't know. My honesty, what I can look for is that I can look for some of the causes. Because the question, what is the why, is a wrong question, because there is never one why. You can never find the why. You can find some of the reasons, some of the causes that brought that to be like that and that other thing to be like that other thing. Also for the fact that when I understand one reason, that reason in its turn is the result of others many. And the question, like, okay, for example, why does it rain today? It depends. One could ask, the answer you wanted, like, on how many levels? With how many levels behind? Because I could ask, okay, it rains, why? Because there are the clouds. Right, isn't it? But why are there clouds? Okay. As comes to my mind, because a while ago a kid asked me, why does it rain? When when you have the age to ask why about everything. Look, it rains because water is up, then it goes down, then it evaporates, then it goes up again, then it goes down again. And then one could ask, why does it rain? Why are the clouds? We can say many things, but a complete answer we are never really able to give it. So the question is never really why did it happen, why is it like that? I know that very often what we want is not the coherent answer, it's not the answer, the truth. What we want is what is convenient for us. Often when we ask the why of something, we look for an answer that is somehow coherent with our feelings, that justifies how we feel, that finds a sort of coherence with our inner feelings. But not necessarily we are open to understanding a complex truth. When we ask ourselves the why of anything, from like, well, why does it rain, why do I speak, and you understand, I imagine, okay, that you understand. Seems a trivial question, but it actually like so complex if one really starts to see it. Simple answer is because I speak Italian, I understand Italian or English. If we really analyze this reality is extremely complex. Like the language has a level of complexity that is incredible. And so without Analyzing, everything seems simple, but when we get into it, we see that reality is so complex. Person goes there and gets angry and treats another one with aggressiveness. Why did you treat me with aggressiveness? Because I got angry. Okay, why? What is behind that? And we can see that reality is incredibly complex. And often aggressiveness is a manifestation of an inner state of suffering. For instance, I never saw someone acting with aggressiveness or violence when he was feeling well. I don't know, have you ever seen someone that is violent, aggressive, and is like super peaceful with oneself and the others, that is happy and satisfied, that acts with aggressiveness? Never seen that. What I've seen up to today is that violence is always fruit of a state of suffering that one is not really able to manage and one reacts badly and so on. But it's fruit of an inner state of suffering. So if we check why did you react with aggressiveness, we can go backwards and backwards and backwards. When I found myself asking the wife of some things, the personal answer was, it's too complex to be able to answer. I don't have the means. And then, to speak the truth, what does it change? It rains. Why? I don't know why it just rains. The main point is, what do I do with it? Because it's raining. For me, the question is not why some things happen, but what is the best way to deal with them once they are there. So, when we are in front of whatever situation in life, more rather than asking ourselves why, at least we can try to ask the why, opening up to more causes. What is one of the causes? What are the reasons? And here it goes a little bit better here. But also there we will not really be able to understand it. Also because, for example, why do I feel this? Why does this happen to me? Do you know how many times someone told me, Lama, but why I'm a good person, and then these things happen to me? And I don't know, maybe you're not as good as you think. I never thought this, actually, but what happens is that, using the analogy that we gave many times, if I am in the middle of the sea with a boat, and you have like a nice sailing boat in the middle of the sea, and then at a certain point there is no wind, what do? I just sit there like coming up with a million problems, like who's the guilty for being there no wind? I don't know. Maybe the butterflies sometime somewhere that stopped moving her wings. Because it is also said that a butterfly flapping the wings on the other side of the planet can be the cause for a hurricane. So the question is not why is there wind really, but what do I do with it? Maybe I do some fixing on the boat, take some time to read. It's not really the time to sail. Then, at a certain point you see that there is a current going in one direction and the wind also, it's not what I really want, so I don't get angry with that. The question is not why does the current push into that direction, but what do I do with it? How can I get where I want to get to with this current, with this wind? And in our lives, very often, things happen that are not really how we would want them to be. I can make you a long list of personal experiences, things where one creates some expectations, builds some things up, and then at a certain point some things happen and that one really didn't expect. Like me, in these few years of life, I've seen things, I've lived things that I would have never expected, with all the creativity of the word to get to imagining those things. Some of them wonderful, some others ugly, bad. And according to me, one of the things that saved me in some cases is to not ask the why. Also for the fact that when we start asking the why, then we have the tendency of trying to look for a guilty. And so our frustration that that thing is not how, according to us, it should be, then it ends up upon someone. This is manifested with aversion, with hatred. Me, for example, a heavy situation happened that was difficult, where I built a whole project of life, many years dedicated to that, and it was when I was studying in Sera. I had my project to finish all the studies of Buddhist philosophy in a certain way, really liked the life that I was living there, and then at a certain point, some things happen. Now it's not the moment to get into the details now, because I just don't see the real need to do that. And I had to live the life that I was leading. And for me it was a very difficult thing, because I had a program that I set myself up to, and I had like, I don't know, 10 years for that in front of me. And then I find like a sort of wall in front of me. And I look at the wall. My first answer was, wait, you know what? Like, I'm a bit stubborn. And okay, I'm just gonna break this wall down. I'm not just gonna drop it because there is some little thing. And so eventually I saw that, yeah, maybe I could have even managed to overcome that wall, but I would have created so much damage to people that I really cared about, and to myself, that eventually, yes, I could have walked after having broken the wall down, but who knows in what way. And Amaganshin, at that point, he looked at me and said, in a way that was, how can I say, it was a smart technique to convince me, but quite strong. And he looked at me and said, like, if you want to continue, go on, you're free to do whatever you want, but know that if you get sick of an ugly tumor, then don't ask me to heal it. In the sense that, okay, I'm telling you to not do it. And Amaganshin, when he said, he rarely said to not do something, he just said, maybe better not. And when he said that, he meant like, really, don't do it. Like, it will go badly. But anyway, you do it, like, if you feel like it. And for many reasons, at that point, I had to say, okay, I don't go further. And there were some people that were involved in that, in this reality, that somehow I could have easily pointed the finger at and said, look, you're not allowing me to do this, it's an injustice, I never did something against you, why do you have it against me, and this and that. Could have said many things, but as I was in that situation, Amaganshin told me something that really helped me. He said, look, these people, don't get angry with them. You know, they are like a cow dragged away by a thief. So imagine there is a little farmer and you have a cow, and a thief comes to steal the cow. A thief of cows, how does he steal cows? He brings them with his arms. What does he do? He pulls and the cow comes. But if the cow didn't work, but the cow just follows. But who do I blame when the thief steals the cow? I blame the cow or the thief? I blame the thief. Okay, like the cow was just carried away by the thief, but I cannot blame the cow. And so these people are like cows dragged by thieves. They were just conditioned, influenced, manipulated by some visions, some views, some things, and they just went like that. And so it's pointless that you get angry with them because they are in their turn victim of something else. And this often happens, and for me it was a great lesson of seeing those people and to see, okay, my story is my story, your story is yours. And to say, okay, there is a wall, I cannot go further in this direction, I open myself to others then. Sometimes in our life a cycle closes, but it didn't go as we expected. I think it may have already happened to everyone. Maybe someone that is really young, not yet, but just a few years more of experience, and then sooner or later it will happen. And so, what does it happen? Like I start something, things don't go as I expect them to go. Usually we are disappointed. And sometimes one remains so attached to how it should have gone and it didn't go, and that doesn't allow himself to open to a new cycle. That thing ended, it's not there anymore. Ah, but it shouldn't have ended. Ah, but I didn't want it to go like that, but I still want it. But it's not there. And what does it happen? One remains so attached to what it was and how he would want it to be, that doesn't open up to the new possibilities that are there. This, I've seen it happening in a work field, in the relational field of affection, in the spiritual field, on many contexts where, okay, something ends, but it's not how I wanted, and one remains blocked, and is just there sitting. But see, like if that person did, or if I had said, would have gone differently. Definitely, but you didn't do it. But that wasn't said. And how would it have gone differently? I don't know. Maybe better or maybe worse. I don't have the minimum idea. And so one of the things is to not sit there to ruminate on the past, because anyway, whatever we say is nothing else but the fruit of our imagination. And actually, we could say, okay, it's not how I wanted it, but it ended. And when something ends, like a cycle ends, it's not a bad thing. So if I'm, like, for example, drinking water, then sooner or later it ends. Maybe it ends before than what I thought. Maybe it falls, maybe someone takes it away from me. Maybe it lasts long, but then at a certain point it ends. When it ends, what was there that I liked, that on one hand I would have wanted it to continue forever, the key point is to be able to go back and be thankful for the good moments that were there. The strongest proofs for me about this were with the important people for me when they left their body. Like, for example, my abbot in India, who was also the master of Lama Michel Rinpoche, one of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life, with a level of humility and love, with wisdom and knowledge of the Dharma that was really incredible. It was also beautiful to look at him, because when there were, for example, moments of encounters, I lived in one of the greatest monastic universities at the time. At the time were more or less 3,000 monks, and sometimes there were these encounters or the various monastic universities, and so there were like 10,000 people meeting, monks meeting, and sometimes there were all the abbots of the various monasteries, or like, so to speak, the monastic elite that was meeting. And very often it happened that they would come there, each one with his entourage, with his attendants, and everyone coming there. And there is a whole matter of respect towards one or the other, and hierarchy. And the abbot of Tashilumpo came also. It was him. was the smallest in India, and he brought his own bag. He was coming by himself in a small taxi, but he was just walking on his own. He had like his clothes that were all rugged. But when he arrived, all the others habits that would just bow down to him. He was extremely humble. He was my first master of philosophy. I was 12 or 13 years old. And he was really a very special person, other than the fact that once they told me, you know that he doesn't have a shadow. What do you mean he doesn't have a shadow? I was very young. I was 13 years old and was receiving lessons from him, and he was sitting on his bed. Behind him there was a window, and I was on the floor in front. And sometimes when I was observing, I started to see that the light was coming from the window behind, and there was the shadow of various items on the table, but the shadow of his body was similar to the shadow of a mirror, like very, very light. And so I asked him, but why? They told me that you have no shadow, and he didn't say neither yes or no. Just laughed a little bit, and he just ended there. This is described as one of the signs of when one reaches an inner state called the illusory body, and the body the shadow you cannot see it so well. For instance, when Lama Ganchen came to visit him, he he made a queue with all the monks of the monastery. They would all be outside the door, making a queue with flowers and auspicious symbols to. Lama Ganchen would make the car stop like around 100 meters before that. Because he wanted to stop and do his prostrations to his master. So the abbot was coming towards him, and Lama Ganchen was just stopping before that, and the mud and everything, doing the prostrations. And when I was in his bedroom, after that he left the body in a. It was his choice. It was something very strong because he was well, and then at a certain point he found himself in front of a situation where he didn't have any other choice. He didn't have any choice between two things that would go totally against his principles. There is no need to get into the details now. It's a complex situation, very complex. Anyway, he was put in a situation where he couldn't say yes, and he will go against, and also to say no will go against his principles. And so really his commitments, his deepest values, the most important things for him. That was about the trust towards his spiritual guides. And in that case he was going to that meeting where he had to take a position. He also didn't have the chance to not take a position, and as he was on the train going there, then he had a fever, and then he got to Delhi and he died. And I don't have any doubt that he did an aware choice, that which is different from suicide. Suicide, you have to use an external force to take your life away. Another thing is to be able to choose internally the moment to leave this body. This is for few. Anyway, when he died, it was for me one of the points of reference that I had. Very important person also for Lama Ganchen. He was. I remember when we went to his bedroom after he died together with Lama Ganchen. Went there. Lama Ganchen was crying like a baby. Anyway, it was very strong. But I remember the day that I received the letter, because at the time there were no phones, nothing of all of that. So I received the letter, and you said, look, that he died, your master has died, more or less a week ago. And I remember the thought that started to come, but I had many expectations of things that I wanted to do with him. It was at the beginning of a long journey in which it was one of my main points of reference. When I got to India, it was my main point of reference. And there was that moment of great sadness, and then at a certain point I started remembering him. And to see, wow, how beautiful that I met him, how lucky I've been. And also up to today, because many years have passed and I never met someone like him. And to be able to have been able to meet someone like that is something that fills me up. I received so much by his presence, by his example, other than from his words. And so, when something that is so beautiful, so important, even and it goes away, if we allow ourselves to thank what has been there, and that continues to be there with us, because he still moves me today, he still teaches me today. And so the dynamic changes. It's not anymore the sadness that he's not there, but the gratitude of what has been there. And this changes the thing entirely. It doesn't mean that there is no emotion, doesn't mean that there is no missing, but there is a profound gratitude, and a gratitude of what has been there. The joy of what I lived is much stronger than the sadness of the fact that he is not there. What tricks us is the huge attachment that we have to how it should be. When Lama Ganchen died, one of his friends, that is one of the assistants of Trikpa Rinpoche, an old man, Tarchanda, he called me on the phone and said, you know, anyway, doesn't matter how long his life was or would have been, for us would have never been enough anyway. And at that point I said, it's true. But if he had stayed a few years more, if he had this and that. But the point is not that. The point is how beautiful all that I was able to receive and live. Thank you. When a cycle starts, sooner or later it transforms into something else. And it's fundamental for us to be able to welcome this natural process of transformation, this natural process of things starting and ending, where there is birth and then there is death. And death is not the end, the death is a passage, a transformation. There is also that way of saying, nothing starts, nothing ends, everything transforms. It's really like that. And so, the less attached we are to how things should go, the more we are able to welcome the cycles that end and the ones that are starting, and the more we can open up to the opportunities and the beauty of what is there. And this is about many aspects of our lives, so many. I've seen people having the wisdom of catching opportunities that were arising in the midst of a strong sickness. I've seen people telling me with all the sincerity of the word, I would have never said it, but this sickness eventually was the best thing that ever happened to me, with pain and all of that, and still sick. Why? Because it allowed me to learn, to see, to understand things that otherwise I would have never done, to heal other things that otherwise would have never happened. And on the other hand, a person once told me, look, that there is that person that is living a very difficult moment. Good, because like that he will learn something. I said, no, absolutely not. It's not for granted that one will definitely learn. Difficult moments bring with them an opportunity. If we are able to catch that opportunity or not is a whole different matter. I can remain trapped in anger, hatred, in non-acceptation and so on, and I can also not learn anything at all. Or I can be able to welcome what is there, welcome the wave, the current, the wind, and ask myself, how can I live it at my best? What can I make out of it? What can I learn? In what way can I grow? And this is about what is called the law of karma, where karma is absolutely not the concept of destiny. Karma literally means action. So it means action, conditions, results, interactions, transformations. And if we change the question, the answer also changes. And so I'm sure that in the life of each one of us, there have been already difficult moments. There are now situations that each one of us would like to be different, isn't it? But is there someone that says, no, I have everything perfect? No, I don't think so. On a personal level, on the level, working level, on the global level, I can make you a long list. Then, if really one has to allow oneself to dream, the list becomes much more long. Actually, no, much more short. You can just say, I don't want there to be any selfishness. Then the list ends there and everything comes as a consequence. But even if I wanted a long list of things that, according to me, would be better to be different, these things are as they are. And the key is to face them in a different way, not to sit there and cry because they're not how they should be. So the question is not why are they like that, but what opportunity is there? In what way I can live it at my best? And sometimes it's strange, but we don't allow ourselves to live a situation well, because to live well, that situation means almost betraying the idea that that thing shouldn't be like that. I don't know if this is clear. It's a bit like saying, I wanted here to be some apple juice here, but actually every day I have hot water with saffron, which I like, but let's say that, okay, I would like there to be apple juice. Even if I like water with saffron, but I'm disappointed that there is no apple juice, as I say that there should be apple juice, why isn't it there apple juice? So I don't drink water with saffron, because it shouldn't have been water with saffron. But actually, I also like it. But it's not what, according to me, it should be. And sometimes to do what is different from what we wanted feels like a betrayal somewhere. And here I tell myself, can we just let it be and relax? I've already seen situations like, you did that thing badly. Okay, true. And the person understands, doesn't want to do it anymore, but now he says, we can't be well. Why? Because otherwise you will not learn. It means that I had to accept that that thing went badly. Better for you. Now we understood, it ended there, and let's try to be well. But sometimes no, one is there attached. And it's important to be able to just give that up and let it flow, and also understanding another fundamental aspect, which is the fact that usually we don't have the awareness, the clear awareness of what brings what.
Io vi ho raccontato già all'inizio del
I've already told you at the beginning, the moment where I had to leave the life that I was leading in the monastery of Sera. In a few words, there was a group of people that wanted me to go away for things that eventually I didn't have anything to do with them. But anyway,
scritto una lettera
they wrote a letter saying Lama Michel shouldn't do this and that and so on. And instead of coming with the letter from me, they printed many copies and attached them to the walls of the monastery. So one day I got there and there were a lot of people reading these letters. And so I asked them, but what does it say? Like, no, don't read.
Poi sono tornato.
And then I came back, and long story short, this thing grew more and more. But eventually, that experience, those events, brought me to wonderful things. The fact that I left the studies in the left of India, there are things that, mainly of my masters, that I didn't leave after that. That was a bit of a weight for me. But for example, it opened the door to meet my master in Tibet. A door open to go to the monastery of Tashilumpo in Tibet and to meet my other master, which is Kashen Lobsang Ponsuk Rinpoche, which was a wonderful experience. And I was able to spend much more time close to Lama Ganchen. And today, when I look back, I could almost say thank you for writing that letter. And so let's remember that when we are living in the present moment, something, we never really know what brings to what. There are very heavy situations that brings to wonderful things. There are beautiful situations that bring to heavy things. We can really never know. So it's pointless to pre-suffer. It's there, okay. How can I leave it at my best? I face what it's there in the present moment where I find myself. Made that time just to close this cycle. I arrived in Italy, and while Lama Ganchen told me that thing, and then I saw that my masters were in a situation of difficulty and so on, and so eventually I decided, okay, I don't go back to India anymore. I left to take a vacation of 2 months, and I never came back. And then I called my friends, and they put all my things in 11 boxes, and they sent me all of that. But what happened is that the night that I took the decision, okay, I do like that, when it was clear for me, okay, I don't come back there. Yeah, I felt sick. I started crying. I felt very, very sad, like really mourning to live. And I remember that I spent almost the whole night crying. And eventually, close to dawn, I look at myself from outside and I tell myself, what are you doing? Why? Because I was feeling good, but I didn't allow myself to feel good, because I said to myself, but what happened? How can you be happy? And so, when I looked at myself, I saw, okay, I'm with my master, Lama Michel Rinpoche, everything is fine actually. If I look at what I am living in the present moment, everything is fine, everything is good. It's not what I expected. There are things that I would have never wanted to live, and they are there. But, actually, when I check, it's fine. And there was a moment, there was a sort of turning point where I said, okay, it's fine, because there is no betrayal. I'm feeling well. I felt as if I was betraying a goal that I set myself to, that I had to suffer because of what happened. Then at a certain point I saw that it was something that I built up. I can be well, yes. And it's strange, but it's possible. And so, when we live something in the present, we never really know what will the consequences be that will bring or not. Never. And so it's pointless to cry about that. Before, I repeat, now I don't have any rancor. Says, look, if you can give me one thing, that every time that I will be uncomfortable, I will be left badly, that will help me to overcome that problem and will allow me to be well, and that I don't have, then yes, okay, yes, I will spare your lives. And so the poor little country against a rich king, and so the wise man gather together, thinking for the whole night, and get to the morning at dawn, and they go to the king with a gift. And the king looks like, what is that small thing that you have there? Thinking that this is when I will be bad, it will make me happy. And they saw that there was a ring, a little golden ring, like a simple ring. And like with all my wealth, you think that one little ring will give me happiness when I have my problems? No, actually, king, the gift is not the ring, it's what is written on it. Every time that you're in difficulty, you can read it, and it said, it will pass. And the king laughed and said, you're right, and he didn't kill them. The problem is that sometimes the ring should also be worn when things are well, also those pass. So let's enjoy them. How many times I lived wonderful situations that seemed that they would have lasted forever, like a time that we went with Lama Ganchen in Indonesia to Borobudur. It seemed that it would have lasted forever, then things changed. We also went to Tibet and it seemed that it would have lasted forever, then things changed. Many situations where then at a certain point it changes. But the point is that even when we are in difficult moments, let's also remember that they will pass and change. It also happens that someone comes to me and says, Lama, because I'm in a very difficult moment here and there. And usually I try to say, look, try to remember that, as you just said, it's a moment, so it will pass. So don't remain so attached to, it shouldn't be like that, why is it like that? Let's face what comes and let's open our eyes for the opportunities that this situation brings us. And there is a teaching that, of course, now we want open, but that is one of the most important ones that is inside of this little book here. That would be at page 38, 7 points of mind training, that we don't read now, of course. That requires a very long, detailed explanation and so on. But the key of these teachings is about that when things are well, then take advantage of them for spiritual practice to grow. When things are bad, then take advantage of them for spiritual practice to grow internally. There is no excuse. And the truth is that it's really like that. It's very real and it's very possible. Because eventually, what really is important in life, according to my experience, what I believe in, is not the condition, whether conditions go well or badly, but how we transform with the experiences that we live. The other day I gave the experience, the example of this friend in Brazil that had this disease that makes hair fall. And she said also another beautiful thing. She said, when I met Lama Ganchen, I obtained everything that I wanted to be as a grown-up. I had beauty, fame, wealth, everything that I wanted. A wonderful career, friends, love, really everything that I have ever desired. And from that moment, then I learned what I wanted to be, not as a grown-up, but as when I will die. What do I want to be in front of death? From the inside. In the inside. That, in other words, means we in life we do so many things. Many beautiful experiences, ugly experiences, we meet people, we live things of any kind. And the point is not what I live, what I do, but who was I at the beginning and who will I be at the end? And how those experiences changed me? Did I become a more balanced, joyous, deep person, more loving, so on? Wow, how beautiful it went well. Was it hard? Yes, but it went well. It was a it was a very easy life, many beautiful experiences, but I became more attached, more closed, with a lot of rancor and so on. Then it went badly. And then it was a wonderful and joyous experience, and I grew as a person. Then it's even better. But it's like a wave. We have some good moments, some easy moments, then some difficult moments, and it's normal for everyone. But if we are able to catch the opportunity that it's in everything as an opportunity to grow internally, to develop more patience, gratitude, love. Every time that I am in front of a challenge where the forces push me to leave, to abandon my values, my principles, but actually I hold to them, then they become even stronger and I grow with that. And so let's try to catch the opportunities that are there in the various situations that happen, and let's allow ourselves to flow, and that makes all the difference. Everything comes out of not asking oneself why, but what do I do with it? Now let's make our dedications.
Jetsu lame kutse rapten chi nam karatin le chokchur gepa dan losan tempe drume sasum ki drowe munsel tatu ne gyur chi kewa kuntu yanda lama dan dralme chike pela longche chin sadan lamge yente rabzo ne Dorje change kopa nyur toba sho nimo dele tsindele nime kunyan delek shin nintsen takto delek pe kuncho sumke chinge lo kuncho sumke ngodru kuncho sumke trashi sho Alalba
At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and to sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.
Grazie a tutti.
Thank you, everyone,
Ci vediamo
and we'll
domani.
meet again tomorrow morning at 7.